YouTube? It's your homie S. Dot coming back to you with another video. Today's video is going to be another deck profile, and this time the deck profile is going to be for the purple deck in ChaosGallantmon. Of course, we see Guillemon here. We'll talk about the deck list here in a second. I gotta say, I tried purple last format with Metal Garurumon, and I couldn't even really get into the deck because I kept bricking rookies with the deck. So for like the first 3 or 4 games, you can imagine, I'm just like, okay, I can't even try to play the game normally. Yes, you can like hard drop level 5s and just do what you can to build into 6s, etc. But like, it just turned me off in the deck in general. I just didn't have that feel. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about in terms of like a feeling with the deck. You have to have some type of like connection with the deck. Had no connection with it. My 2 mains are like yellow and red, and then blue after that. But yeah, so this wasn't into purple last format. Not really a big fan of Lilith. I get how good she is and stuff, but I don't know, I just don't gravitate towards that kind of mega. But this mega right here, man, ChaosGallantmon, first of all, shout out to whoever created this art. Art is sick. I love his effect. I love what kind of control it brings to the deck. This deck is definitely complex to play. It's probably not as complex to play as the Lilith Loop deck, but again, I'm not a fan of Lilith, so I probably won't ever play the Lilith Loop deck, at least not this format. We'll see what you know, BT6 brings. But digression aside, I love this deck and how it is now, and it definitely has some very skillful plays that you can make with this deck. Some plays you may not even see. That there's just a lot of like different things you can do, and ultimately I think what I did was just look up like DPP channel, shout out to him, hey, and you know, other like purple gameplay for this deck, because I really wanted to understand this deck, and I just love this deck overall, what it does. But without further ado, enough babbling for me for there. Let's start with the eggs. As usual, you know how we do, or most deck profiles do. We have the 4 Demi-Meramon. Now, Demi-Meramon is still the premier purple egg to use. He draws you a card and you discard a card, so you cycle through your deck whenever your Digimon dies. So very good, of course, very good with cards like Tapirmon, because you draw 1 card for free, then you draw for this. Just a lot of value, and while you're also getting chip damage into your opponent's security. So we all know and love this card. Definitely still a 4 of right now. And then also we have 1 Digimon. Now I'm trying this Digimon out. I was just playing, where is it? I can't find it. I was just playing Zalmon, and Zalmon's probably still fine, and I probably still should play it for a variety of effects, because Retaliation is very good, obviously. But I want to try to Digimon out because, of course, a lot of what this deck does is kill off one of your guys to do damage. And if you have this under your ChaosGallantmon or even your Zwart, etc., throughout time, getting that attack boost may be very valuable. I think of course, I guess with ChaosGallant, him getting the 14 is respectable, but he can still die to security Omnimons of all sorts, 14 and 15s. And then you also have, so you want to try to get him to 16 is what I'm trying to say. And I'm thinking in general, like Lord Nightmon can get pretty big on the field. If you can use this effect to be able to boost one of your guys up, like Tactimon, etc., to a respectable number to be able to get over Lord Nightmon, that might be viable as well. So I don't know exactly how this is going to go. The Zalmon, mid to late game, I guess it just depends on when you see this, when you flip it. This may or may not matter. We're talking about just this 1 card. Next up, we're going to start off with our 14 rookies. I cannot speak today, excuse me. Our 14 rookies is going to be 4 Guillemon. Now, starting off with Guillemon, we have a couple things to talk about here. Of course, it's a 3-drop, 2K, and on deletion, if this card is deleted by an effect, you gain 1 memory. So, got to keep in mind, DP minusing will not trigger this effect. So, keep in mind, like cards like Starmon or any of those minus DP effects will kill this card by game mechanic and not by card effect specifically. So definitely keep that in mind. But of course, this is the main card that you use in tandem with the ChaosGallantmon to pop, you know, when your opponent's level 5 or lower guys. Bring this back, and excuse me, don't forget to gain a memory, and then bring this back again, which is just very solid. You can also run this card into security when you have ChaosGallantmon out. You can run anybody into security with ChaosGallantmon, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. But overall, this card is a definite 4 of. Bringing this out, Digi bursting with the Black World Growl, etc. is always very good. Definitely a solid 4 of in the deck, must have. Oh, shout out to the pre-release stamp as well. Next up, we have 4 Candlemon. Now, this Candlemon was, this slot bounced around a lot. This slot was Tsukaimon, the one that inheritable, gain 1 memory on deletion. This card was Gabumon, probably one of the best, probably if not the best rookies still for purple, where you draw 2 and discard 1. You literally get a +1 from one of your guys dying. And I think, what else was it? I think it was just between those 2. So I got some word from another very solid purple player Actually, the guy I played in my past 2 videos. So shout out to Phil, and he was talking to me about Candlemon. He's like, I'm surprised you don't have any Candlemons in your deck. I'm like, Candlemon? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you know what I did underestimate the 2 draw. I guess I was so giddy into building this deck. Like Goblin's effect is not necessarily is not necessary for this kind of deck. I'm not playing anything like Jack Rays and anything like that. So like for Lilith Loop, it makes sense. But for this, having a solid efficiency for this 2 cost is very good to help build into your big guys, because you really want to try to get into Chaos Gallant as quick as possible. You don't have to wait for 10 cards in trash. So ultimately, the 4 Candlemon has been good. I can see myself going between, 3 and 4, but ultimately this is just solid for now. I need to stop throwing the water world ultimately, by the way. Next up, we have 3 Tapirmon. This Tapirmon is very good. Of course, when you have it behind Demi-Meramon, it's the best case scenario. Attack, get some chit damage. You get to draw a card for free. You get to replace this card pretty much, and then you draw a card for Demi-Mera to also help accelerate and dig through your deck to find your combo pieces. Very solid card. Next up, we have 2 Gazimon, the floodgate of the deck. Of course, we all know and love this card, except for the yellow players that have 4 Blind and Raise in Hand and Cry. This stops memory game besides Tamers. So specifically, even like opposing Guillemons. So if you're in a mirror match, their Guillemons won't trigger, their Sukaimons won't trigger, their Stingmon and green decks won't trigger, etc. So definitely keep that in mind. Only Tamer effects will be able to gain you memory, and you can bring this back with Zwart. You can bring this back with the ChaosMon. He definitely has a lot of utility, and all of those things being a fact makes me potentially want to cut this down to 1 and play another of this next card we're going to talk about, my 14th rookie, Sukaimon. It's just a simple 3 cost, 2k DP on deletion for your inheritable game on memory. This card pretty much acts as a 5th Guillemon, if you will. Of course, you have to digivolve over it to, of course, get the ESS effect. But overall, again, this acts as another Guillemon in terms of getting the memory. A lot of times, your Chaos Gallant usually only costs 3 total, even though he's actually at 4 costs. When you gain the memory, etc. But overall, this ratio has been fine. I think I could really see myself going down to 1 Gazi and into the Sukaimon, because yellow, this format is not playing Blinding Ray like as much as it did before. Now, as I say that, I think a lot of the successful decks played like only 2 Blinding Ray anyway, but like there's still players out there that play like 3 and 4, etc. And we can't forget about Hammer Spark. We can't act like Hammer Spark's not in the game or in effect. We can't act like Jack Raid. We were just talking about Jack Raid for the Lilith Loop deck. This card will stop that as well. So being able to stop them from actually doing the Lilith Loop will be very valuable. So as I just realized, I think 2 is probably fine. We'll stay there. And then the one Sukaimon again is acts as a 4th Guillemon. So 14 rookies. I feel kind of weird with 14 rookies coming from playing yellow, and I'm so used to playing 15 and 16. But hey, even when I play 15 and 16 rookies in yellow, I still brick anyway, so does it matter? Probably not. So 14 rookies is usually that solid number that you want to play. Next up for our champions, our level 4s, we have 4 Devimon rather, the blocker Devimon. 1 cost to evolve. You do lose 2 memory when you attack. A lot of times, of course, you use this to finish a game. We all know how that goes. Attack with your little guy, attack with your little guy, attack with your last guy. Yes, you lose 2 memory, but of course the game will be over. So yeah, just 1 cost to evolve. You really want to probably see this in a rookie in your opening hand. If you start the game to choke your opponent at 1, blah blah blah, the usual. Very solid card that you can also bring back and reborn with the with your Omnimon Zwart as well, of course, and just a very solid card overall. Next up, we have some more 1 costs, but just 3. We have 3 Meramon. Not a lot to say about this. The 5 drop does come up off sometimes, especially if you brick. It's not the worst thing to drop. Of course, you're giving your opponent 5 memory, but in the event that you do need to drop this and like skip lines, and especially against decks like Security Control, sometimes you're not trying to build a board and you're not trying to constantly build lines because you don't want to draw too many cards. At a point when you play against Security Control, you have to be careful when you're playing Takumi and all those things. You have to be careful how many cards you're drawing, because if your opponent's security is just really OD on you, and like they just keep deleting all your guys and just stymieing everything you're trying to do, eventually you're gonna deck out, and you might realize it when it's too late drawing all those cards. So I say all that to say, dropping this for a 5 cost to be able to skip into your level 5 at least, skip a evolution line to get into your stronger guys, your megas faster, is always optimal. And then this 5k is decently respectable as well. Swing with it into security sometimes, and try to do some things with it. And yeah. So next up, we have 2 blockers. Or 2 more blockers rather. We have 2 Valmon. This is a card I'm thinking about potentially adding up to 3, but I think the 2 is fine for now, again, because Zwart can pick it up. So that's all good and well. And plus, he also has 6k attack. So 6k attack, got to be aware of Shoutmon now. Got to be aware of Nidhogg as always. Got to be aware of what's the last one? Nidhogg, and why can't I think of the last card? Somebody post down below what I'm thinking of. I can't think of the card right now. But the 5K threshold is definitely very hindering sometimes, depending on the matchup that you're playing against, and depending on, against certain matchups. Like if you need to bring back a blocker and a level 5 or level 3 for your Zwart, you want to make sure you're probably bringing back the Vilemon, because that 6K is a lot harder to get rid of, especially against like the yellow deck. 6K threshold obviously is a little bit more challenging for them to get over, and not just a very solid card overall. Of course, it's good against Rookie Rush as well. When they break out their 2-drop 5K guys, you'll still be able to get over those as well. So something to keep in mind. Crash with their Gorilla Mons, etc., or their their forced level 4 6Ks, etc. And then last but not least, for our level 4s, we are playing Devimon. So this Retaliation Devimon, of course, it has Retaliation himself, and then gives Inheritable Retaliation. Very, very solid card. I don't know if I need this card yet. This could easily potentially just become a 3rd Vilemon and then a 4th Miramon and just call it a day. But I want to have that variety, especially like if I have a situation where I have a Anubismon up and then I bring this back or whatever. We get some crazy boards where I can swing with it with Rush, or I have it in my hand and they swing with one of their Megas and they think they're safe, and all of a sudden I bring my rookie up from raising, Digivolve into Devimon, and just crash into the guy and get that 1-for-1, which is very solid. So I'm not super sure on this card yet. It hasn't like performed like outrageous where I'm just like, oh yeah, I definitely need to keep this card, but still a very versatile card, and it gives you some other effects and things to do within your deck for versatility purposes. Next up, we have our ultimates. Our ultimates now, first one we got to talk about is, of course, the best ultimate in our deck, hence why we're playing 4 Black War Gromon. If you guys are getting anything from boxes this weekend and you want to play purple, no matter what purple variant you're playing, I feel like you're going to play some number of this card. This card is very good. So what it does is on a main effect, Digiburst 3, you were able to play 1 level 3 purple Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost, but keep in mind any on-play effects don't activate. But that's okay, because if you have a Guillemon under this, that's the most ideal thing you do. You Digiburst all 3. Keep in mind you have to have the egg, your level 4, and your your level 3 and your level 4. If you have just a level 3 and you go up level 4 and you Digivolve into this, keep in mind you won't be a Digiburst because you have to Digiburst 3. That's something I caught on to. Just little things. I mean, you probably already like, well, duh, Stefan, but nah, I missed that at one point. I Digivolved over a guy that only had a rookie and a champion over it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't even Digiburst. So just something to keep in mind. But very respectable attack. He has 7 attack, 8 cost to play, 3 to Digivolve. That's all fine and dandy. But like I said, you bring out your Guillemon, and then this is the gateway to be able to go into your ChaosGallantmon and start doing more plays. And then, of course, probably the best part about its effect, which puts a lot of pressure on your opponent, is his Inheritable. You may delete one of your other Digimon to unsuspend this Digimon. So you'll be able to get 2 swings with your Chaos Gallant, any Mega that you have, or your, of course, your Zwart. Very, very strong card. Got to play 4 of it. Next up, we have 2 Chimeramon, and then we have 2 Skull Miramon. So the 2 Chimeramon, I feel like if I played 1, if I saw it, then that's all I would need technically, because like I would play it the first time, then if it is Digivolved into or it dies or whatever, the Zwart can bring it back. But let's say it doesn't die and I really want to have this Chimeramon to be able to get rid of my opponent's blocker or their own level 5s, etc. I think I really want to have 2, and plus I have 2 pre-release ones, so I want to play both pre-release, not just 1. And then Skull Miramon here as well. This kind of acts like the same thing like Miramon, where you're able to play a 5-drop level 5 to be able to follow up right into your Megas if you have the memory to do it. Now, I am playing Tamers that will allow you to have 5 memory total at the beginning of your turn. So there's an option to be able to play this, go to 0, and then play your ChaosGallantmon or whatever other Mega. Especially again against security control, if they give you a whole bunch of memory because of a Magnadramon or whatever, and dropping this and being able to Digivolve and continue your plays is also very solid. Keep in mind, of course, you can't attack with it that turn, but then also, of course, this is just a 2 cost as well to give you more efficiency and building up into your Megas. So definitely a very solid lineup. 8, I think, is all you need. You draw well, if you're playing Takumis, you draw a decent bit. I actually just currently took the Takumi out, which may have been a mistake. We will see how that ratio goes. But yeah, anyway, only 8 ultimates. And the next up, we have the main man of the deck, ChaosGallantmon himself. I like the alternate art. Well, I lied. I don't like the alternate art where he's jousting up and he has like the shield all in your face or whatever. I like the other one. That was really cool. But I definitely like the other one. But I do want to play those. But on top of so many buts, this art is so dope. I think I'm fine with playing this art all format. That's how dope this art is. Like, there are some alternate arts like Rise Greymon. I do not ever want to play the normal Rise Greymon. It gotta be the AAs. This art though is so dope. So again, shout out to the artist that made this card, because he just looks so majestic. He looks dope. Very, very strong card. And then let's get into his effects. Of course, he's a 4 cost. He has 12k attack, and he's a 12 cost to play. So keep in mind, opposing Zwarts can kill this, unlike Imperial Digimon, which is kind of annoying because he's 13k or 13 to play. But digression aside, when Digivolving, you may delete one of your other Digimon to delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. So this works right in conjunction with his other effect that you are able to play on when one of your Digimon get deleted. You may play a level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost, and any on deletion effects don't activate. So the most ideal thing you can do with this card is to pretty much have a War Growl. Let's just say you have a Miramon under here, and then you have a Guilmon under here, and then you have your baby. So we'll put the baby. What you do is you bring this up from raising, you Digiburst 3. You don't have to, so even though you don't have a target in your trash upon activating the effect, the first thing you have to do is Digiburst. So once you Digiburst, you officially have a target in your trash. So then you bring up the Guilmon, and then right after that, you Digivolve your Black War Growl into ChaosMon. And a lot of times this is going to pass the turn, but it's about the efficiency of what he does with the destruction, getting rid of your opponent's blocker, getting rid of your opponent's level 5 that they were about to Digivolve into a Mega, etc. So you you Digivolve, pop your Guilmon to pop their guy, and then the second effect of Gallantmon triggers to bring back your Guilmon, and you also gain the memory in the process. So it pretty much makes him a 3 cost in hindsight, or in kind of a hidden 3 cost, if you will, which is very solid. And if you're not passing the turn, you're able to swing with this, and depending on what your board state is, you can use the Black War Growlmon effect to pop this again. No, you won't be able to bring it back again because the Reborn effect is once per turn, be able to bring it back from your trash, but you'll be able to gain another memory though. This is not once per turn, and plus it's a new Digimon, if you will, that went to the graveyard and was able to trigger its effect again. So a very, very strong card, very solid card. I just think this, how many ways am I gonna say how this card is good? This card is good, okay? It's good. Good. So yeah, definitely got to play 4 of it. Well, I'd take that back. I love the card so much I want to play 4 of it. I've seen some lists that play 3 and then some other megas, but currently I'm definitely going to stick with 4 because very solid card. Next up, for our level 6s, we have Tactimon. Now, I was not high on Tactimon. Even when I first saw him, I saw him in like a couple of Japanese videos. I saw people talking about him and stuff in general. And for whatever reason, he didn't impress me. And also, for whatever reason, I keep thinking he has 12k attack. I don't know why, but then I look at him and I get disappointed when I see he only has 11. Don't mind me. But this card is very cool because when attacking, activate one of the following effects below. And then if you have no Digimon in play, you can activate all of these effects. So the effects that he has when he swings is you gain 1 memory. This Digimon gets plus 2k attack, and then delete up to 3 of your opponent's level 3 Digimon. So of course this is very good against Rookie Rush. And just in general, you can make him a 13k, which is solid. And then he's the only guy in the field you get to get all the effects. Sometimes even gaining 1 memory might be important, depending on like if your opponent has a Tamer or not, or if you're trying to do some sort of memory manipulation with this card. Very, very solid card, and I respect this card now. Plus, it also has a 3 cost as well. So if you're in a situation where you have your level 5 and you don't have Chaos Gallant, or let's say you do have Chaos Gallant, but it'll pass turn and it's not an efficient play because like you don't have Guilmon, or they don't even have a level 5 to kill. Well, if you have one of your memory Tamers out and you start at 3, you can actually just Digivolve in this and then start swinging right away, which is really nice with it because, you know, it is only 3 costs. So it's something to keep in mind. I think it's definitely a solid addition to the deck. I was playing Digimon. I'm not currently playing Digimon in this version. There's no actual reason for it, just testing. Next up, we have one Omnimon. So the Omnimon might be a card that I potentially will add and make it a 2 of over the Tactimon. I don't know yet, but of course the Omnimon is nuts. It'll help you go for game. To bring this out, Reborn one of your level 3s, it gets Rush, and then that's 2 attacks on its own, which is very, very good. And yeah, there's not a lot more to say about this card. It's a 3 cost. It's only 10k attack, but it's fine. You usually, if she does sacrifice herself, it is what it is. You're getting 2 security checks out of the deal. Very, very solid card as well. And that wraps it up for my 7 megas. Well, my 7 level 6 megas. And then speaking of the other mega, we have our level 7, the Omnimon Zwart. Omnimon Zwart is definitely one of my favorite cards now in general, like period. Like I love Zwart more than Omnimon because like, I love black, so anything black you can tell with this matte and everything. I love Black Panther. My whole death setup is black. This card is dope. And just in general, when it comes out, it's a 6 drop over one of your level 6s. And when he comes into play, trash the top 3 cards of your deck, and then you may play up to 2 Digimon with a play cost of 8 or less from your trash. So reading is good, because when I first read this card, I thought it meant that you had to get 2 guys that equaled 8. But no, 2 guys with a play cost of 8 or less specifically. So 1 guy with 8 costs or less, and then another guy with 8 costs or less. So you can literally bring out Black Workaround, bring out the Vilemon, and then go to town. Or not go to town, excuse me, but, you know, get that value out of those cards, or even bring back 2 blockers if you need, you know, to be able to protect yourself well enough next turn. Then his second effect, he has a really cool destruction effect where when he attacks, like most Omnimons, you return the level 6 Digimon back to your hand to do something. And what this one does is he allows you to delete a enemy Digimon that has 12 costs or less. So annoying again that you can't get Imperial Digimon with this, but most other things are in range, obviously, besides other Omnis that you're able to kill. If they have a tapped guy, you can go attack over their tapped guy and then also kill their, you know, kill one of their guys that are stood up. This is a very, very valuable card. Of course, he has 15k attack, one of the strongest cards in the deck, and facilitated for some of the other cards we're going to talk about here coming soon. Next up, we have, for our Tamers, I guess we can talk about those first. I don't know exactly what ratio I want to do with these guys. Comment down below and let me know what your ratios are for these guys. But I'm playing 2 Matt Ashitas and then 2 Tai and Matt. So Tai and Matt facilitates you being able to get some insane attacks. If you have a Zwart out with a Black Workaround under it, being able to attack and get 2 checks and then unsuspend. If you live and you know everything's all good and get to swing again, man, that's 4 security. And depending on how the game is going, that could potentially be game over. And it just facilitates a lot of it's really hard for your opponent not to play a level 6, because most decks, even Rookie Rush, when they play Mavagramon or they play Puppetmon, they'll have a level 6 at some point. So yeah, when you start the turn, if your opponent has a level 6 or higher Digimon, you're able to gain 2 memory. So this is what I was alluding to earlier when I was talking about starting at 5 memory. You're able to order it where, let's say your opponent puts you at 2. The Matt Ashita or the Tai and Matt doesn't necessarily have to trigger first. They both start on the start of your turn, so you can order it how you want. Obviously, the ideal way is to always order it for your memory tamer to put you to 3 first, then go to 5 for your Tai and Matt. So starting at 5, you know, is just very valuable. And then again, if any of your Omnimons attack, they get security attack +1. So I'm only playing 2. At one point, I was playing 2 Matt and Tai, 1 Matt Ashita, and then 1 Takumi. As you can see, it's still in the sleeve. I don't know what exactly is a shout out to pre-release too, by the way. I don't know what exactly is correct at this point in time. I still have a lot more playtesting to do with this deck. This deck is can get very complex. So I still have a lot more, again, just grinding and playtesting with this deck probably for a good week or 2. I even have the potential confidence in this deck to take it to a tournament. Of course, I already know it's tier 1, but I'm just saying for myself, it's just a lot to think about. Sometimes I have so many options in my hand, it really gives me a chance to mess up and give my opponent the edge over me. So, and of course, we have the Matt Ashita here, our memory tamer. I got to see, like I said, if 1, well, I miss not having 2. I feel weird not playing a deck with at least 2 memory tamers. But if your opponent has a level 6 Digimon, this technically is a memory tamer. So I will see how it goes and then potentially add a third white memory tamer. And the reason why I potentially also want to add a 3rd white memory tamer, because the other 2 cards we're playing in the deck is, of course, the new Mega Digimon Fusion. So this is a new card from BT5, and this card is very cool because it costs 0, and then it makes your Omnimon Zwart cost 0. But unfortunately, at the end of the turn, it will go to the bottom of your deck. But this, what this facilitates is being able to Digivolve over one of your Megas into this. You get 2 bodies out of the deal. So you're trading the Mega Digimon Fusion and the Zwart for 2 bodies that you get out in the field, plus a swing. Being able to facilitate that kind of damage, plus if you have the Matt Ashita on the field, being able to kill one of your opponent's Digimon as well, 1 or more rather, because you could be again tagging into one of the Digimon, is just way too much value, so much great value rather. And this card is definitely very solid at a 2 of. I think for space regions, I think I'm only fine with 2. You draw a decent bit in this deck. You also can add it to your hand from security, so definitely a very solid card to just have at 2. And then last but not least, this card is a super flex spot. So I literally have the other card sitting right here to show you. This can be between Hell's Gate, Demonic Disaster, the new card from BT5, or Deathclaw. Now, the reason why I'm trying Hell's Gate right now is because of Lord Nightmon. Again, shout out to Phil, came up with a good scenario about the fact that Lord Nightmon's really good at protecting itself with the fact that it has high DP, and they play like 7 blockers, so they can efficiently have blockers out to also protect Lord Nightmon as well. This card just straight up outs it. This card just straight up outs Shoutmon. This card just straight up outs any obviously level 6 that's a potential problem to you. So being able to do that and just get rid of them before they potentially drop a level 7 on you next turn is always very valuable. Or I'd say that back, you can kill their level 7s as well. So of course, the Blitz Omnimon will be able to protect itself, but this is a nice one-of I potentially want to try. And if you get to a point throughout the game, you may actually be able to recur it with Madashita, so you don't need more than one because of that reason. Same with these cards as well. Deathclaw is really good. Of course, we all know about this. You purple lovers, get rid of my blockers. I can't stand you guys, but Deathclaw is also a potentially really good option, and especially its security effect. You actually just delete something. And then you have Demonic Disaster, which kind of does, well, on deletion, you are able if it's insecurity, you're able to bring back one of your level 3 or lower Digimon, which is on par with what this deck does in general. And then its other effect, its main effect, is you can delete one of your other Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon. So keep in mind, you can't. I tried and I cheated last night. Well, tried to cheat, but my boy called me out, which I appreciate. But of course, Omnimon is a white Digimon. He is not a purple, so you can't unsuspend him. But your Chaos Gallant, your Tactimons, you can trigger Tactimon twice. You know, let's say you swing with one of your level 5s or 4s and it actually survives. You get so much value there now because that's a body now that you can use to delete to be able to stand up with your Mega and swing and like potentially get like 3 or so checks in. So a very, very strong card. I don't know which is best right now, and honestly, it's just going to be a testing, you know, phase and just see what I like more, and I guess see what the meta develops into. So there you have it. If you guys have made it all the way to this point in the video, I'd appreciate it if you guys liked the video. If you liked it, comment down below if you have any suggestions about the deck or your own experience with the deck and how you're playing your purple deck. I'm interested to see. This is definitely going to be one of my mains for this format. You know, yellow and red were at my forefronts for my main kind of deck that I like to play. But now this deck, and maybe purple in the future, is going to be my main deck because I like this card a ton. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the memory booster cards that when those come out, that makes like that's a higher chance for your ChaosGallantmon to be able to attack in the same turn because you have that memory boost card. So can't wait for that in the structure decks. And of course, we're going to have more security control. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed the deck profile, again, I'd appreciate if you guys left a like, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody that's been subscribing to the channel, showing love, coming in the comments, liking the videos, all that stuff. Lately, I'm very humbled and very appreciative of that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm definitely here for the long haul for this game. I'm a very competitive player, but I'm definitely a very humble player to be able to be here and play with you guys. You know, things happened with my last trading card game I played, Transformers, and this definitely has filled the void and over. Actually, the cup runneth over with the enjoyment that I have with this game, except for when I break. But either way, you guys know what it is. Y'all have a great day and or night whenever you're catching this video. This is your homie S. Dot with ChaosGallantmon, and of course, Omnimon Zwart heading out. Peace.